Welcome to Radio Revenue Podcast, and welcome to Deep Dive. This is the show where we take a whole stack of interesting source materials, could be articles, research, presentations, you name it, and we try to pull out the key insights to get you up to speed fast. Today, we're diving into, well, it's a huge and often kind of invisible world, human capital management, and we're looking at it specifically through the lens of automatic data processing, Inc., or, ADP, as pretty much everyone calls them. Yeah, so our insights for this one come from a pretty dense set of sources, mostly visual presentations, actually, and data points. They really paint a picture of ADP's massive operations, their global reach, all the different services they offer, their strategy, even how they're doing financially. Our mission really is to unpack what ADP does, get a handle on just how big they are, and understand why their work in human capital management is so critical, so widespread, even if, like we said, it's often behind the scenes for a lot of us. And maybe to kick things off and really show that impact, there's a statistic from the sources that kind of puts their scale in perspective. It's pretty mind-boggling when you think about the amount of money and people they actually touch.
Oh, it really is. It's quite staggering. Our sources show that just in the U.S., right, just here, they process over 78 million employee W-2s.
Wow, 78 million.
Yeah, those really critical year-end tax forms. Think about the complexity, the compliance involved in getting those right for so many people.
Right.
And beyond that, they move something like $3.3 trillion.
Trillion. With a T.
Trillion, yeah, annually. Just within the U.S.
That's incredible.
Think about that. I mean, one company is basically handling the pay for a huge chunk of the American workforce. It really just shows how deeply ADP is woven into the fabric of the economy.
So many people, like you said earlier, probably touch their systems every payday.
Yeah.
Or maybe checking benefits.
Exactly, without ever really seeing the ADP brand explicitly. It's just this foundational piece of how work happens, how people get paid, impacting millions every single day, often totally unseen.
Okay, so building on that just massive scale, how do they actually do it? ADP has this long-standing slogan, always designing for people, which, sounds good, sounds aspirational.
Mm-hmm.
But how does that really translate when you're that big, operating globally? I mean, the sources say they're in over 140 countries, serving millions.
Right.
What does that kind of footprint demand?
Yeah, that's really the core challenge, isn't it? The sources state over 140 countries and territories. They're serving 1.1 million clients globally and paying, get this, over 42 million workers around the world.
42 million.
It's not just the numbers, though. It's the huge challenge of dealing with all the different legal systems, the cultural differences, tax laws in every single one of those places.
Right, it can't be simple.
No way. It means they've had to build systems and, crucially, expertise that can adapt and scale everywhere. That's a massive undertaking, and it's probably a key reason they're so dominant. Designing systems that are flexible enough to handle, say, payroll in Germany.
Which is totally different
from Brazil or Japan or wherever. And they have to do it while trying to keep the user experience somewhat consistent and seamless.
Okay, so with that kind of reach, that kind of complexity, what are the actual core HCM human capital management needs that a giant like ADP tackles?
Right.
Our sources show they support, and this is their phrase, every client HCM need, and they break it down into 8 main areas.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the obvious ones like HR and payroll, making sure people get paid, records are kept straight. But then there's also human resources outsourcing, HRO.
Which is a bit different, right? That's more than just the software.
Exactly. It means the company is basically handing over entire HR functions, the management, not just the tech, to ADP.
Okay.
Then you have talent management, time tracking, benefits administration, compliance, which must be huge given the global scale, and even retirement services. It's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, it really covers the whole employee life cycle, doesn't it? And what really jumps out is how vital these integrated services are for businesses of all sizes, really.
So it's not just about making things easier.
Well, it is about simplification, but it's also about, I think, resilience. Imagine trying to manage payroll for thousands of people, track their time off, deal with health benefits, keep up with constantly changing labor laws, and manage talent development, maybe across different departments or locations if you're doing that manually, or with like 5 different disconnected systems. It's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, I can picture the spreadsheets.
Exactly. So, if you've ever just tried to coordinate like a team lunch budget. Imagine that complexity, but with serious legal implications for thousands of people every week or two.
Right.
So ADP's integrated approach, it takes these incredibly complex tasks and streamlines them. It frees up businesses to focus on, what they actually do, their core operations, innovation, customer service.
And you mentioned resilience. How does that play in?
Well, think about something like a sudden economic shift or a big regulatory change, like when new sick leave laws came out during the pandemic.
Right, had it fast.
Yeah. Companies using ADP's compliance expertise weren't just freed up from paperwork. They were kind of shielded from potentially massive fines or operational chaos. They could adapt much faster than companies trying to figure it all out manually.
That makes sense. Especially for smaller companies, maybe.
Absolutely. Smaller businesses that maybe don't have a huge dedicated HR team can suddenly operate with the kind of efficiency and compliance rigor you'd normally only see in much larger organizations.
That's a huge advantage. But, when a business hands over something as critical as payroll or benefits administration, is there ever pushback? Like concerns about losing control? Or is the efficiency gain just too big to ignore?
That's a really fair question. It's always a balance, right? Control versus efficiency. What the sources seem to suggest is that ADP offers a whole spectrum. You can just use their tech platform, or you can go all the way to full HRO, where they basically run the whole HR show for you.
So choice.
Exactly. Clients can pick the level of outsourcing they're comfortable with, what fits their operational style, and honestly, for many, the sheer expertise ADP brings, especially on compliance, disaster recovery, things like that, plus the time savings. It often outweighs any worry about losing direct control, especially with how complicated employment law is now.
Yeah.
They're essentially selling peace of mind,
Yeah.
letting businesses focus on their actual business.
Okay, so if they're providing that peace of mind, keeping businesses running smoothly,
hmm
how do they stay on top? HCM isn't exactly a static field.
No, definitely not.
The sources lay out some pretty clear strategic priorities for ADP. They want to lead with, quote, best-in-class HCM technology. They aim to provide unmatched expertise in outsourcing, and they want to leverage that global scale we talked about to benefit clients. So it's not just maintaining, it's actively trying to advance. And part of that seems to be this thing they call the ADP innovation flywheel. Sounds fancy.
Yeah.
It's got 4 parts, according to the visuals. Build so, developing stuff in-house by acquiring other companies, partner collaborating, and invest specifically through something called ADP Ventures.
Right. And this kind of raises the question, doesn't it? How does this multi-pronged innovation strategy actually help the businesses and the employees using their systems?
Yeah, what's the tangible benefit?
Well, think of that flywheel, like maybe a multi-lane highway for growth, right? They're building their own core road. That's the build. But they're also using the buy lane to quickly merge in smaller specialized vehicles, maybe companies with cool new features.
Okay.
Then they partner. Maybe that's like coordinating with other major highways or transport systems for wider reach. And invest is like having scouts out looking for the blueprints of the next generation of vehicles or road spotting promising startups early.
So they're covering all angles.
Exactly. It ensures they're not just moving forward on one track, but they're evolving in, well, pretty much every direction at once. For the clients, that means they get access to newer tools, better efficiency, solutions that keep up with new workforce challenges.
And for the employees using the system.
It often means, hopefully, more intuitive platforms, maybe easier ways to manage their work stuff, checking pay, requesting time off, that sort of thing. It's really about continuous improvement that ideally flows right down to the end user experience.
It definitely sounds like they're trying hard to stay ahead. And it makes sense, given how they tailor things for different markets. The sources show that pretty clearly. For the really small businesses, 1 to 49 employees, there's ADP RN.
Right, the small biz solution.
Then for the mid-market, which they define as 50 up to about 1,000 employees, it's ADP Workforce now.
A very well-known platform.
And then for international clients outside the U.S., they mention ADP IHCM and ADP Lyric HCM. And underlying all of this, the foundation is still ADP Payroll. Plus, there's this broader ADP ecosystem, things like tax services, workforce management tools, a marketplace for integrations, data solutions, outsourcing, and that ventures arm again.
So different tools for different needs, but all connected.
Exactly. And you can kind of see how they focus on the user experience in some of the visuals we looked at, like screenshots of an employee portal.
Ah.
Imagine logging in, right? It says, "Good morning, Elizabeth." Nice personal touch. And right there, you've got quick links for recent actions, things like getting married or maternity leave, big life events that have HR implications.
Stuff you need easy access to.
Totally. And you can instantly see your PTO balance. Like the example showed, 40 hours float, 89 vacation, 56 sick, 0 overflow. It's all laid out. Plus, helpful links maybe to the company org chart and external links too, like straight to your 401k provider, Fidelity in the example, or to view payroll reports.
Yeah, that visual really drives home how these platforms, when they're well-designed and scalable, can just simplify incredibly complex stuff.
For both sides, right?
Absolutely. For the employer, it means less admin burden, more time for strategy. For employees, it's a huge improvement in just being able to manage their own work-related info,
Yep.
accessing benefits, understanding their pay without having to constantly chase down HR.
Less hassle for everyone.
Right. That kind of self-service and clarity, it directly helps with better workforce management and honestly probably boosts employee satisfaction, which in turn helps with retention, productivity. It's all connected. It's about empowering people, giving employees control over their data and employers the tools they need.
And it seems like guiding all these operations, all this tech, is a pretty strong set of core beliefs. The sources spell them out quite clearly. ADP states they believe that integrity is everything. They believe in providing insightful expertise, delivering service excellence, inspiring innovation. They believe each person counts, in being results-driven, and in valuing social responsibility.
And, those aren't just like posters on the wall. You can see how they'd be pretty operational guidelines.
How so?
Well, take integrity is everything. If you're handling trillions of dollars in super sensitive employee data, integrity isn't just nice to have, it's absolutely fundamental. It's the basis of trust.
Good point.
Or insightful expertise and service excellence. That's crucial for navigating the maze of global HR and payroll regulations we talked about. And things like each person counts, or social responsibility that likely informs how they design user-friendly systems and how they engage with the wider community. It's not just about the bottom line.
So the values provide the framework.
Yeah, pretty much. The ethical and strategic framework for their whole approach to managing human capital, it builds that reputation for being reliable, responsible.
Okay, now here's a part that might really pique the interest of folks who follow the market closely. The sources gave us a peek at ADP's financial performance. Specifically, there was a graph showing a comparison of 5-year cumulative total return.
Ah, the performance chart.
Yeah. It covers June 2020 to June 2025. And it stacks ADP up against benchmarks like the S&P 500 index and the NASDAQ Dividend Achievers Select Index.
And how did they fare?
Well, what's clear is that ADP generally tracked, or sometimes even slightly outperformed, those big indexes over that 5-year stretch. It really shows remarkable stability and pretty consistent growth.
And what that kind of consistent performance signals, especially for a company in the HCM space, is really profound. It signals stability, reliability, financial health. These are critical factors for clients who are trusting ADP with, their payroll, their sensitive data. You wouldn't hand over your company's paychecks to a shaky provider, right?
In a way.
So for investors, for partners, it builds massive confidence in ADP's long-term future, their ability to keep investing in that innovation flywheel we discussed, and maintain their leadership position.
It reflects the essential nature of what they do.
Exactly. Their services are, for most businesses, simply non-negotiable. It doesn't matter if the economy is booming or busting. People still need to get paid, taxes need to be filed, benefits managed. That makes them an incredibly stable, foundational player in the overall economy.
Yeah, this whole deep dive has really pulled back the curtain on ADP's immense role. It's often unseen, like we said, but they're just deeply embedded in the global workforce. Processing pay for millions, managing complex HR across, 140 countries.
Yeah.
They touch so many lives every single day through these comprehensive human capital management solutions.
So thinking about all this, what does it really mean for you listening? As technology just keeps accelerating, AI-driven insights, the gig economy growing, maybe totally new ways of thinking about employee engagement. What is the future of human capital management? How will platforms like ADP's continue to shape our working lives? What kind of new innovations might pop up to support businesses and employees globally in the next 5-10 years?
It's interesting to think about.
Yeah, maybe, your next pay information won't just be a static report. Maybe the system will proactively predict your tax implications for the year, or perhaps even suggest career development opportunities based on your skills and company needs, all before you even consciously think about looking for it.
The system getting smarter, more proactive.
Potentially. It's definitely something to ponder as the world of work keeps changing.
It was a Revenue Radio podcast. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay updated with our latest analyses.